Namaste and welcome. Today we'll do a short practice for anxiety. And the way that anxiety manifests is different for each of us, but often it has the tendency of us being up in our head worried about the past or the future. So we want to bring it back, ground down, and try to focus on present sensations, knowing where we are in space, and coming out a little bit of the virtual reality and into the body. So a way that I like to think about, well, my anxiety always feels really up and out, almost like one of those little wavy men at the car lots. So wanting to bring it down on the ground to begin with. So if you are interested in learning more about what I have on offer, then head to my website, colechanceyoga.com. I do addiction recovery explorations, yoga teacher trainings, and retreats all over the world. So would love to connect with you on a deeper level. Please do reach out. Feel where you are touching the earth. I'm even going to move my bolster so I can feel fully where I'm touching the ground here. And bring the hands down onto the earth. Feel each fingertip into your mat or into the floor, into the grass, wherever you are. And imagine that each fingertip could grow little roots, and your sit bones growing some roots, so really grounded and supported here. And from these root points, everywhere that you're touching the earth, from that downward energy, can you allow that to give you a bit of upward lift because you're secure and you're anchored here. So then you can rise, lift the neck a bit. Maybe expand through the heart, expand the collarbones a bit. So you're reaching really out in all directions. And with this spaciousness, let's take some deep belly breaths in the nose and out the mouth. Twice more like that. In the nose, make a sound with your exhale. Out the mouth. Once more. Maybe sticking the tongue out, lion's breath. Beautiful. Let's roll all the way down on the floor. So roll all the way back on the floor. So two options with your legs. You can bring the soles of the feet together, knees wide, or knees wide and the feet out. So either one. And then bring your arms really wide here. Roll the shoulder blades back so that your kind of scapula is like a shelf for your heart. And bring your arms really wide. Steady breath, and now feel all of the extra root points that we have here. Extra anchor points, so everywhere you're touching the ground. And can you feel the back of the heart breathing into the floor? So when you expand here, really bring your awareness to the back of the heart. Feeling supported. And then pick up your hips just slightly and shift them over to the left. And we're gonna take both of the legs over to the right. So taking a gentle twist, and just imagine you can like wring out a little bit of the rumination. Letting your exhale be even longer than your inhale. And with every exhale, maybe a little bit of melt. A little bit of visualization of a melt. And then switching sides by bringing the knees up, shifting over towards the right just slightly, and then bringing the legs down to the left. Oof, just got a nice pop. Again, feeling all the root points anchoring down into the earth. We can always come back to the breath. The breath is an excellent and always there steady companion to come back into the present, into the present moment. And bring the knees back into center, and we're gonna rock and roll up on the spine just to get a little movement here. So take the hands behind the knees and just rock up and down the mat 2 or 3 times. And then this last time that you do, cross the ankles and come into tabletop. So either roll into your knees or you can just swing the legs around. I'll actually do that. And let's take some cat and cow. So we're gonna kind of wring the spine out in another way here. So really firmly find the root points of the fingers and the hands, soften the elbows, and then let the belly drop down. Soften the elbows and bring the heart through. You can imagine like you're pulling the back of the heart towards the front of the heart and then lifting it up, curling it up. And then exhale, press down into the hands. Bring the front of the heart now to the back of the heart, the belly to the spine. So reversing, pressing down. And then the inhale, reverse, soften the elbows. Back of the heart pulls towards the front of the heart as it lifts. Just begin to move like you now. You can stay in this pattern or begin to organically wiggle and slither around. Again, big breath. And let's thread the needle here. Put the weight into the left hand, so kind of shift over a little bit, slide back the shoulders back, and then pull back with the right arm. Really peel open. Gaze follows the thumb. Lean back into the shoulders just slightly. And then exhale, let's thread all the way down. Some options with the left arm. You can leave it as it is. You can reach it out front. You can even take it behind the back and take a bind. Wherever you are, the alignment isn't important here. We're just getting into the body so we can move from the head, move from mentality down to some sensate touch points. So kind of bringing the awareness into sensation. All right, so we're gonna slowly sink the hips back, stay twisted. Sink the hips back to the heels, and then rise up, kind of roll up. Release the left hand, it plants behind the back, and the right arm comes up, up, up. Option, you kind of soften both the elbows, and then lift the hips. Oof. Imagine you could like stretch the skin on the front of the body, and then release, come back into tabletop and wiggle it out here. Take some big breaths and big audible exhales. Let's switch sides. So put the weight into the right hand and then lift, peel open the left ribs, gaze up, lean back slightly, and then thread down. Just a couple rounds of breath here, gazing up under the right armpit, doing whatever you'd like with the right arm. Just a couple steady breaths. See if you can breathe all the way down into the belly, even though you're twisted up a bit. Next, exhale, slowly slide the hips towards the heels and then round as you come up. So come up real sloth-like. The right hand comes behind. Soften the elbow, and then kind of rebound out of the floor as you lift the hips up. Oof. And exhale, sink down, tabletop position, wiggle out. Tuck the toes, press down through the hands, lift the knees just slightly, and then shift back into a downward facing dog with super bent knees and make it really wide. Make the hands wide. So you're at the edge of both, you're at the side edges of your mat. And just move around here. And we're gonna do another twist. So a lot of wringing today.
wringing out. Right hand to the left heel or calf. You can bend really deeply into the left, gaze up under the left armpit. Humming's really good. Any kind of sound. Like think internal om. Kind of tickles our vagus nerve, helps us to settle. And switch sides. And really, anxiety is a hyperstimulation of the nervous system. So we're wanting to soothe and settle it back down. One more inhale. And full out. Release. And then walk the hands wide, or walk the feet up wide by the hands. Bend the knees really deep so you're sitting back. Release the crown of the head and sway side to side. I'm actually going to turn here. Feet are wide. And we're going to roll up, but less about rolling up and more about pressing down through the feet. Let the body be heavy. There's a lot of buoyancy. And then press down so much that you begin to lift. So I still have a bounce here. Vertebrae by vertebrae, slowly, slowly stack. And then find some shake in the body. So really as if you could expel and release some of the energy, some of the car lot anxiety dude energy, whatever those things are called. You even flick it out of the fingers. Some sound. And some stillness. It's going to be a really nice way to expel sympathetic energy, which is where the anxiety can be born out of. And then one more breath we'll do together. Let's do called breath of joy. So this can be really nice. It's stimulating in a way, but it can help to release out. So what we'll do is we're gonna do 3 quick inhales. Maybe stick the tongue out. And the arms are gonna go, and then they'll go out, and then they'll go up, and then you're gonna bend the knees, and like send it away. So in, and let's do that 5 times, yeah? All right, so full exhale. Ready? Once more. And come up to stand and just feel in. Observe. Maybe place a hand to the belly, a hand to the heart. Be nice to give yourself a mantra right here, or give yourself a reminder. What is something that the anxious part of you would like to hear that could be helpful? Often for me, it's just something like, I'm here, not going anywhere. Or that this is okay. Often we try to push it away, like, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. And even though it's a challenge by our attempts to push parts of ourselves away, that doesn't really work. Kind of like pushing a beach ball down in the water, it always pops up. So often it's just like, this too, I see you, can be really, really comforting. Maybe repeating again any words that you need to hear. And we'll slither back down. Turn the toes out and the heels in. And we'll come down through malasana. So maybe take the hands to the knees as you slide down. Maybe you stay up for a moment, just for one more beat or two. And coming back down onto the mat. Paschimottanasana, but first, let's wiggle out the legs, kind of release any residual energy in the legs. And fold forward. You can let this be kind of loose and wavy. Maybe you keep moving and maybe you find stillness. Slowly rolling up, and we'll finish just lying on our back for just a moment, about 5 rounds of breath. So you can do this with blocks, you can do it with a bolster, you could just lie back down. I'm gonna do it with a bolster and 2 blocks. So if you have these, I'll show you how I would do it. So I'm gonna lay this longwise, and I'm gonna lay over it with my arms really wide. Depending on the size of your bolster, you may want something underneath your head. And then I'm gonna take Baddha Konasana. I like to bring blocks underneath to support me so that it doesn't hurt my hips anymore. And then open up the heart. So just a note that sometimes heart openers, depending on where we are in our nervous system, can be a bit triggering because can be a really vulnerable space. So depending on how you're feeling, if this tends to lift your heart rate at all, then I would just come out of it, maybe laying on your side. But this can also be really, really grounding as well. Like on the flip side of that, the ability to feel supported while being open can be very nourishing. So listen to your body here. And just 3 more rounds of breath. Maybe a hum, maybe a sigh, maybe a flutter of your lips. And you can stay here as long as you want. Maybe ready for a long shavasana or a nap, imagine that. Or you can come back up and close out with me if you would like as well. So maybe some of these techniques worked, maybe not all of them did. So keep what works and leave the rest. So really it's about listening to our body, understanding how we can kind of bring ourselves into an inner sense of safety, and that'll be different for everyone. So again, yoga is really about learning ourselves. So this is part of that practice. Thank you all so much for carving out space for you and sharing that with me. If you'd like to learn any more about the nervous system, I have a class here, a little bit more about the vagus nerve. I find it really fascinating and helpful, so I hope that you will too.